Hello cruel world, my name is Dr 𝐏𝐬𝐲𝐡. I'm a consultant forensic psychiatrist. I assess mentally disordered offenders for a living so that you don't have to. You can call me the ominous 𝐏𝐬𝐼𝐻𝐻. So this video is a reaction video to the comments and feedback that I have got from my original video entitled My Problem with Dr Grande. I strongly recommend that you watch that video first because otherwise this might not make sense to you. It's one of my most popular videos. It's got about 12,000 views. Links in the description if you want to see it. So even though I suggested that you should go watch it, I will very briefly summarize my points in that video. So my main issue is that I believe Dr Grande is misrepresenting his qualifications and his expertise. So he's called doctor because he's got a PhD in Counselor Education and Supervision, but his videos have nothing to do with educating counsellors. And his videos, certainly his most recent videos, cover the psychoanalysis of well-known cases, true crime cases, pop culture, celebrities, and he gives specific diagnoses and he talks about personality factors. And as I said, because he calls himself Dr Grande, I think it very strongly suggests that he's a licensed or qualified psychologist or psychiatrist, which he is not. My second problem, as I said in my video, is the tone of some of his videos. So there's quite a lot of victim shaming or mocking. I've given specific examples in that video, not going to go into the details now. I have covered similar cases to him. I try and inject some humor into my cases, but I would argue that I've never actually mocked a victim, which I think is below the belt. My third and final issue was that he's often factually incorrect in the diagnoses he makes. He uses a very old, antiquated personality factor system that nobody else uses. And again, I think the problem is that he's misleading or miseducating people because he's misleading his expertise. Okay, so that's the background. Now let's get into it. What were the responses and comments? Well, I think the best way to show you is to tell you about the poll that I put up. So I asked, are my concerns about Dr Grande's expertise justified? And I got about 450 to 500 replies. The options were, shut up Dr Dash, you're being petty, he's allowed to make his videos, 12%. He shouldn't be misleading his viewers into thinking he has expertise, 71%. And his qualifications are close enough and are relevant to the videos he makes, 17%. And I would say that the poll roughly reflects what it was said in the comments in terms of proportions. And I have to say that nothing that was said in the comments particularly surprised me or wasn't things I was expecting, although the proportion was surprising to me. I expected more people to defend him simply because he's got so many followers. When people did criticize him, which they did in the comments, many said they didn't like him personally, they found him creepy, they found him not funny, they found him patronizing, they found something off with Dr Grande. I personally might have personal opinions on those things, but I'm not going to say them because I think it's crass to attack a person for their actual personality. I'm not saying I don't have issues with that, but it's not good for me to use my platform to talk about those things. I'm talking about his political views, his victim shaming, his misrepresenting his expertise. There were some comments saying that they had issues with his content and they thought that he had very weak analysis, which I would concur. But, and here's the most interesting thing, I've had many comments in the comment section for that video that said literally they didn't know that he wasn't an expert in psychiatry or psychology, and they'd assumed that because of the name of his channel and calling himself Dr Grande, which is exactly my point. That is exactly the point I was trying to make. And I think that it's vindicated to a degree by the fact that many people have commented on that. To be fair to him, Dr Grande also got a lot of love. He had a lot of people that stood up for him, and I expected that. He's got 1 million subscribers, so I'm not surprised. People are bigging him up. Some people said they liked his sense of humor. I just want to be crystal clear, that is absolutely fine with me. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind here. My video was titled My Problem with Dr Grande, not this is my problem with Dr Grande and I think this should be your problem with Dr Grande as well. Let's face it, wouldn't have made a catchy title. So just to emphasize, everything that I've said is just my opinion. I think my boy Method Man said it best when he said, opinions are like assholes, everybody's got to have one. Another theme that happened in the comments was that people were calling me jealous, which I kind of expected. In fact, I preempted it in my first video. I gave reasons why I don't think I'm jealous. You can believe me if you want, you don't have to. The crux of the matter was that I was saying that there's many more successful channels, some of which I mentioned, that are more successful with him, and I have absolutely no problem with them. A big example that I used was 𝐈2Go, which has 9 million subscribers, so technically 9 times more popular, so I should be 9 times more jealous, but I'm not, because this channel doesn't misrepresent itself. Another consistent comment was that I just made that video for the views. And what I would say to that is, yeah, of course. Every video that I make, every idea that I have for a video, and I'd argue every idea that most YouTubers or people that take YouTube seriously, they do that. They balance their expertise and what they've got to say versus how many views they've got to, how many views or how popular they think it will be. So to put that into context, I very frequently get asked to make videos about particular high profile cases, and I don't do that. And the reason I don't do that is because there's not enough information about the case, or there's nothing that I can speak to with my expertise and my clinical experience. So for example, there's no element of mental illness, so I don't make those videos. Conversely, I come to learn the hard way that some of the things that I think might be interesting are not interesting to the general public. So my first few videos are very long, they're very technical. I would break down like medico-legal constructs because that's what I do on a witness stand, but it was a bit too dry, and it wasn't kind of snappy or interesting enough. And I learned the hard way. I got low views on those, and I adapted, and that's what I think I'm supposed to do as a wannabe YouTuber. So what I'm saying is good YouTubers, including Dr Grande, are good at jumping on trending topics, and I think he's very good at that. I think he's better at that than me, and props to him for that. I've given my criticism. I have to give the man due where it is deserved. So what I'm saying is, if you're accusing me of making that video to try to get views, I'm saying to you, you are correct. I do not deny that at all. But this is the bit that I think we're in disagreement with. I'm saying that it's not just clickbait, it's also because I have something to say on this particular topic, and I believe that to be true. So I diagnose people professionally, so psychiatric diagnoses and breakdowns of personality factors is literally what I do professionally. I don't think it's what he does professionally, but it's what I do. And I also make YouTube videos, so this is absolutely a topic that's relevant to me. Plus, making a video like this, I genuinely find the people's reactions interesting. Otherwise, I wouldn't have anything to say in this video. So, to summarize, this video is about reflecting on the feedback and the comments I got from my original Dr Grande video. I expected it to be very mixed, and it was very mixed. To be honest, I expected more hate towards me and more love for him, simply because of the numbers, because I know he's got 1 million subscribers. And so I was a bit surprised by the proportion. The one thing that I would say that I find confusing and a little bit frustrating is I felt that a lot of people in their comments missed my point. I never said that Dr Grande shouldn't make videos. I never said that. All I've said is that I think he should make it very clear from the outset that his limited kind of area of expertise. And I really want to emphasize that not everybody, I don't think everybody has to say that. Well, actually, I'll rephrase that. Nobody has to do anything. I'm not talking about anybody having to do anything. But I do feel that some people are obliged to make it clear. And I don't think all videos that make content about mental health need to make it clear. I think he does because, and this is the crux, this is the bit that I think people don't get, because he calls himself Dr Grande and because his channel is called Dr Grande. If it wasn't called those things, then it wouldn't be misleading. Or if he said at the beginning of each video that he's not an expertise in these matters, that also wouldn't be misleading. And again, I just want to emphasize, I'm not saying that he can't make videos. I'm just saying that I think he needs to make it fully clear. Now, in my last video, I used an analogy of a cardiologist. I'm going to use another analogy because I really want to hammer this home. Forgive me if I'm being overzealous or patronizing, but again, I'm just reacting to the feedback that I've got. I don't think I've made the point clear. So I'm going to give you another analogy, right? Imagine you went into a second-hand Ford dealership and you're approached by me in a suit, and I'm clearly a car salesman. And I take you out on the street. It's a bit confusing because it's not on the main parking lot, but I take you out on the street, tell you about this car. Eventually you buy it, and then later on you find that it was my personal car and I just sold it secondhand. I've got nothing to do with the Ford dealership. Is what I did illegal? Probably not. If I've done all the paperwork, if I never said that I was a Ford dealer, then it's probably a legal sale. Is it unethical? Yes, I think it is. And this is the crux of the matter. Anybody can sell cars, but it's the fact that I put on a suit and hung around a Ford dealership. I intentionally wore the suit, and that would be misleading. Other people are allowed to sell cars. People might advertise in Auto Trader. So it's not the selling of the cars that's the problem. It's the pretense of belonging to the dealership. So in the same way, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I think it's misleading, and that by calling himself doctor, he's doing the same thing as wearing a suit and hanging around in a Ford dealership. And the very fact that so many people have stated that they didn't know his level of expertise and assume that, I think proves my point. If you think differently, let me know in the comments. Again, it's not just 1 or 2 people who have said that. It's not just a fluke. It was like about a dozen different people. And I've got a challenge for you people who think I'm talking BS, right? If you're unsure, if you think that I'm just being petty and mean, then have a look at some of my videos. Off the top of my head, what have I done recently? Rotherham abuse scandal, internet trolls, where I've gone through real-life cases and I've given my psychoanalysis. I'll put the links in those below if I remember. Look at the detail of psychoanalysis and look at the amount of actual clinical experience that I talk about versus what Dr. Grande does, which in my opinion is very superficial, shallow, seems like you just Googled it. I think it's more professional, but I also am open to criticism. I could be wrong. I'm sure some of you will disagree with me. If I am wrong, I'm very happy to hear your views and your feedback and your comments. Let me know in the comments section below. That's all I have to say about the matter. Have a blessed day, stay euthymic, and do not forget, I love you.